Hi. Just wanted to do a bit of an impromptu live stream because uh, certain things that have happened with the channel lately that I've been addressing privately within uh, comments and stuff, I feel need to be addressed face to face. I want to be able to talk to you with what's been going on. You may have been able to pick up that a few things have not been sailing as smoothly as I would have liked, but progress is still being made, and I just want to be able to speak to you directly and tell you that. So I don't want to keep this as short as possible because I feel like that when these go an hour long, it takes away from the rewatchability. But definitely feel free to leave questions, and I'll get to as many as I can, and just see where the night takes us. 4 viewers going strong. Mr. Astronaut 9 says hi. Boba Hutt says hi, to which I say hi. All right, so on to the first topic, which is the title would imply, yes, Return to Kashyyyk is still coming. And I know it does not necessarily seem necessary to have to say that, but I've received an overwhelming number of comments asking if it's been canceled due to the last trailer being in September, at which point I said it would come out in January. And then I released another update saying it would be out in March. And here we are, and it's not here yet. But rest assured that progress is being made. Like I said, it's far slower, though, than I ever could have anticipated. I have... Well, it's probably best to explain why it's been taking so long. Some of you may know, in addition to making films, I also enjoy stage acting quite a bit. And most of the plays that I do are fairly low-key in, the size part that I have. So usually I can manage having schoolwork and doing a play and working on a film in reasonable enough harmony. But in the play I'm currently in, I ended up getting a very large part, one of the leads, actually, one of them. There's a lot of leads in this particular musical, but point is, it was very exciting. It was a dream come true, to, if you will, to be cast in this particular show. But the issue with that is I'm now spending every day of the week in rehearsal, even Sundays now, usually for hours and hours, 3 at least, sometimes as many as 6. And the point is that combined with schoolwork that I have right now, I just simply have not had time to make as much progress as I would have liked. But that said, the film is very, very close, hypothetically, to being done. When I started really diving into when I said before that there was going to be a point where I could just kind of dive in and hammer it out, and there'd be like a month left. So in theory, within the month of January, there should have been 1 month left, and I've only of shooting. I should specify, but because of this play, I've only gotten 2 weeks of what I had expected done between January and March. It's been so crazy for me right now. I haven't had time. That does not mean I've lost interest, though. I feel like when a lot of you see a lot of these kinds of videos, when somebody said they got busy, that means that they stopped caring. That could not be farther from the truth. I have never been more excited for this project. Like I said, this is the only reason why I started making. I didn't want to do a sequel to Battle on Kashyyyk originally, but when I had this idea, that's what got me going. And it's like I could make more of these now. So Escape was kind of the gamble, because that's not really the film I wanted to make, but it kind of had to be made to make Return to Kashyyyk, because there needed to be something to bridge the gap. But I'm so excited, like I really am, to get this out and show it to you all. And I've talked about this before, but um, these all my artistic work, but especially this Sparker trilogy, which is I kind of like that better than the Kashyyyk trilogy. To be honest, I might start. I'm considering renaming it that. So, what's really like I said, all my work is very much driven from my own experience. But I feel like the Sparker trilogy, especially, is almost a perfect allegory for my own lifetime's journey, and a lot of those characters and events are inspired somewhat by things that have actually happened to me, and especially with where I am in my life right now, I feel like this film is more important to me than it ever has been before. So I'm very much determined to get it out, and I'm I don't like to sound too confident about my works, my films, but I really think that people are going to enjoy this. People, because like the Escape from Kashyyyk was the risk. That was the one. I was like, okay, I might lose them here. I just kind of tied them over. But then people seem to really like it. So I was like, guys, come on, the good one isn't even out yet. But yeah, like I said, I'm so excited. Tentative release date is May 25th, and I'm that again. Like I said, I hypothetically have 2 weeks of shooting left. So that sounds crazy, but I'm pretty convinced that that's when it'll come out. I don't expect, if it does get moved again, it would only be by a couple of days, because I think I have this all pretty much figured out, and the play ends in a couple of weeks, so I'll definitely have way more time to work on my films at that point. But actually, I just realized that that day is the night of prom for me, so that might not be the best. Well, whatever. I can auto time it. I'll figure it out when I get there. But it'll be around early summer. But before, I want to. I've never been able to really capitalize on the kids finishing up school for the year. That market, that demographic of people who are should be on YouTube more than at any other time. But I've just never had the time to release a major project like that. But that's what I'm looking at. Editing this thing's going to be super interesting. There's tons of stuff I want to try, and I think this film, ever since I started scripting, like actually writing out my films with Justice League 3, I feel like this film the most has evolved as I've worked on it. Like so like I said, a lot of this film was Return to Kashyyyk was inspired a lot by things that have actually happened to me, and especially, and I haven't done this in a very long time, but especially with something that recently happened to me. I had the idea. It's like, I think we need another scene in there. It's a quick little, and there's no dialogue, but I feel like this is important to Sparker's character. This has to happen here. So I just like added another scene in, and I'm Scott, Lord Starscream 100, who plays Blade and Sparker in these films, and he's God, we've known each other a really, really long time now, 5 years, I think. So I trust that he will get the lines, and he hasn't yet. But I feel like these delays have actually been a good thing, because it's given me time to really go back and really develop these ideas. So I'll send Scott an email sometimes. It's like, hey, I want to add in this line here, or I want to add in an entirely new scene, or rewrite this line from Sparker, because I really, this character is so important to me, and he does some things that are very unexpected, I think. And there is one particular character move that he makes at one point that I was really on the fence about if I should go through with it or not. And I actually emailed Scott, and I told him like what I was thinking. And it's like, this is crazy, but I want to know like your thoughts. You think that this would do it? And he agreed with me that it was necessary for Sparker's journey. But yeah, it's gonna be really, really wild ride. I want to see if there are any questions. Oh, jeez, wow, that's a lot. Oh, okay. I'm just gonna kind of summarize. There have been a number of questions about more films after Return to Kashyyyk, and I wanted to sort of make a statement about this after I'd finished this. And the bottom line is, I'm not sure, but I really want to. Like, I'm going to talk about, especially with my next two topics, I'm going to talk about endings. This I like. I really missed the mark with these Star Wars videos, because I saw in 2014 was the year that I made Justice League 3, and then the first Battle on Kashyyyk, and I saw that Justice League 3 was a big hit, and I was like, I just went full on with DC stuff. It's like, that's where we're going, and Battle on Kashyyyk was just supposed to be like a one-off sort of thing, and you know, Justice League 3 did pretty good. It was like I think at one point it was like the 5th most viewed video I had, and then everything after that was just kind of diminishing returns. Even Justice League 4, it still got a lot of hits, but it did underperform slightly when compared to Kashyyyk. In fact, both Battle and Escape individually have more views than any of my DC videos all combined together. It's crazy. So my point is, I really wish I had just taken the time and saw how both films did, and sort of made a decision on what direction I was gonna go down by that point. And if there are any new brick filmers that are starting out, that are watching this, that's what I would recommend. People ask me for advice all the time. That's what I recommend, is not to go too far with any one idea, when you never know when a better opportunity can come along, and then it's too late to change. But anyway, so back to the original question. It's definitely the last in this trilogy that Sparker and all the characters really, especially in this last one, you know, there's all kinds of new depth that's added them, and they all go through a complete arc throughout this trilogy, and that story kind of comes to an end. And I want to be careful in how I say this, but I do have a lot of ideas for a new series that takes place before, and a new series that takes place after, and I don't necessarily want to say and the reason why I wanted to wait until after this, because I don't want to imply that somebody does or doesn't survive. Just saying the last one, but there's definitely a lot of places we could go with these characters. That said, I really can't see that happening in the foreseeable future. Someday, I hope I can return to this universe I've created, but like I said, my life's only going to get busier and busier from here. And when I talk about what's going on with Justice League, I feel like it'll be really obvious that there are going to be some major changes going on with the channel. And my bottom line for now is, I would like to tell more Sparker stories in some form someday, somehow, but I don't know when that would happen, and I don't know exactly how that would happen. But the answer to your question is yes, I'm very much interested in going that direction, but there's nothing remotely official yet. I do feel, though, that I don't want to say it's not really a happy ending. No. It depends on how you look at it. It's kind of the return to Kashyyyk. But the point is, it's definitely a very fulfilling ending. There'll be a sense of finality to it. And while I would like to tell more stories with these characters, once you see how this story ends, you won't necessarily, well, I hope you'll want to see more, but you won't necessarily, there won't be any real loose ends. I feel like Sparker goes through one journey that can be watched over the course of 3 films that I think works well enough on its own, and anything that would come after would kind of be a new story that borrows certain elements. So that's essentially the answer to that question. All right, so I predict that there will be more questions about Return to Kashyyyk, which I will go to. But first, I want to talk about Justice League 5. This has been one of the, I feel like out of every film I've ever made, this has probably been the most tumultuous creative process, and we haven't even started shooting yet. So if you'll recall in the last live streams, and I've always prided myself at how consistent I am to, and again, I obviously, you know, lots of creators out there, some things work, some things don't. They have to cancel things all the time. So I'm not saying there's nothing wrong with that per se, but I've always been really proud of the fact that I can commit to something and then finish that project. It's very rare that I've ever had to make some major changes. But originally I said that to sort of close out this whole shared universe that I'd created that started with my first film in 2011 and continues today with the Justice League films. So in case some of you that aren't aware, and it doesn't, especially now that I sort of turned the focus of the channel to the Sparker films, it doesn't get as much of a focus anymore. But originally, the way my channel was laid out, it was kind of a shared universe that had characters that DC, Star Wars, Harry Potter, Lord of the Rings, all these characters would come together. And eventually the focus of that kind of switched to DC, but it is still one story that I created from day one and has continued to this day. And I said that it was time for that story to end, and I wanted to send it. And the fact of the matter is, I want to make films forever, and I've said that before, and that's my goal in life. But I don't. It's simply not feasible for me to continue to make the same kinds of films. So I feel like we're going to have to see a lot of endings and a lot of trying new things, because I'm not going to be able to get into the film industry based on Justice League 9 or whatever it is by that point that I would be old enough. And I also personally just want to try other things as well. So I said that series was going to come to an end, and it would end with 3 films, each half an hour to an hour each. Justice League 5, Justice League 6, and then one final standalone Batman story to round everything out. And I said, yeah, like in some form, this is what's going to happen. And then on the last stream, I was like, all right, guys, I might have overestimated how much time I'm going to have to actually finish these. And this was before I knew about all the delays Return to Kashyyyk would see. So I'm going to make Justice League 5 exactly the way I wanted to originally and have it be an hour long. And it'll sort of end on a cliffhanger, and then we'll see where it goes from there. But I doubt that Justice League 6 and that final Batman adventure was going to happen. And then I've come to the realization lately that I might not even have time to make that last hour-long Justice League brick film. So I'd be lying if I said I knew exactly where I was going to go from that. But once this is done, this school year will be over for me. I'll only have one more left, and with everything, my life got so crazy this year. It's just going to get even crazier next year. So I'm going to have even less time. But realistically, it would have to be about as long as Return to Kashyyyk. So I've the past 2 days, I just wrote all day, and I was able to whittle down my original ideas for these 3 films. I pretty much just started from the ground up, although I borrowed certain aspects, and I sort of wrote a new script that was only 30 pages, mind you. Like, it was originally supposed to be 60, and I whittled it down to 30, and I'm amazed at how well it worked out, to be honest, because I was wrapping up 12 different plot lines and everything, and still trying to tell an entertaining story that would further this universe. I'm not sure if it only gets smaller from here. Mind you, if I make any more changes, it will be making it smaller. But I really like, if I can make it, I really am satisfied with the way it'll end things off. I think Return to Kashyyyk will be the best film, the best brick film I will ever make, to be honest. But this could be a close second, definitely. Which is probably really bad, PR to say that. But I have a feeling that that's how it's gonna be, and that's how it should be, because I feel like Return to Kashyyyk is definitely a character-driven story, and I wanted to take sort of the storytelling elements that I'd learned from my time making that Kashyyyk trilogy, or the Sparker trilogy, or whatever I'll end up calling it, and bring that into the main shared universe. But the fact of the matter is, Justice League 5 at this point, it's kind of going to combine the best of all eras of my filmmaking. I feel like it'll feel a lot like the early days where it was just kind of a big, weird, fun adventure, and then it'll have some parts that are kind of like uh, the 2014 15 type of thing, where there's a lot of stylized action, and there's also some really and there's also has some a lot of it does have some really cool character moments, but I wouldn't call it a character driven film because it's a Justice League movie. I mean, there's not. I feel like I really love where it takes Batman's character and how it closes that story off, and it'll be impossible to avoid in the marketing when I market this thing. So I might as well just say that Parallax will be in Justice League 5, because originally it was supposed to be like I was planning on keeping that hidden, but once I start like marketing this thing, he's in it so much that there's absolutely no way that I could hide it. So Parallax will be back, and he didn't have much of a character before. But I really dove into. He may be the most developed character in that I've had when it's all said and done. And if you know anything about his backstory in the comics, which I don't much, I skimmed the Wikipedia article, but I pretty much just made it up from the ground up. I haven't seen the 2011 Green Lantern movie since 2011, but it's sort of loosely inspired by what I remember from that, which could be completely wrong. I have no idea. I haven't seen that movie in so long, but so that film will probably be out early summer 2019, and that would probably be the last of the current. It would sort of be the end of an era, the current era of films. I want to reiterate though that I'm not stopping anything. I still intend to make films. I still intend to make brick films, hopefully, but I feel like I definitely have to sort of step into my adult life, and it'll be fun. I don't. If I have to change any more, I promise to at least provide some semblance of closure, even if it's only like 10 minutes long and leaves a bunch of unanswered questions. I want to give you something to celebrate to end this all. Oh boy, whoa! There's lots of comments. What about the Randomness Show? I will get to that in a second. They all die. Oh, okay. I see there are a few couple comments comparing Return to Kashyyyk and Rogue One. They're all going to die. I should clarify what I said earlier by that. When I feel like in the first film, it was sort of supposed to be like a murder mystery. So death was a plot device, and I'm not saying that. I don't want to say that people won't die, and I feel like the most emotional scene in the film is related to something Sparker goes through that's not a death. So death is not a plot device. You're not gonna see all the characters die. I just want to like reassure you that from the get-go. I'm not saying everyone's safe. What I'm saying is don't just go in thinking, oh yeah, everyone's gonna go, because they won't. I promise. Lego Story Workshop is watching, formerly Lego Hotel, formerly Ramsey Issa, formerly I Own an iPhone, whatever. I don't know. I don't normally do plugs, but like seriously, he's insanely talented. He was a huge inspiration. He's one of the people that inspired me to take up brick filming back in the early 2000s when he's still going, and he plays Bail Organa in Return to Kashyyyk. So just my plug. Okay, so Parallax is going to Infinite. Who is going to be Big Smoke? Oh, that's probably something to do with Parallax's origin, which I don't really care about. Like, I sort of I don't know. I'm gonna really upset the hardcore fans. I don't read many comics, to be honest. I love Killing Joke, and I love a few like standalone like Batman comics, but I'm not. I don't read too many comics, and I feel like that actually benefits my storytelling because I feel like I'm in making both these Justice League films and these Star Wars, the Sparker trilogy. I'm a storyteller first and a fan second, and the Ryan Johnson approach kind of is, I guess, what I should call it. When there are going to be some things in Justice League and in Return to Kashyyyk too that aren't going to sit well with all the nerds or whatever, but I do what I do because I believe that'll result in the best story, not because it. If you wanted to, or is it, I lost my train of thought. Sorry. If you wanted to see comics, then you should read the comics. Oh wait, why am I being called a sellout? What did I do? You're making this live stream. Did I say that? I'm genuinely confused. I don't. I did monetize it because that's what I have to do. I don't do anything for the money. I don't care about how much money this makes. No one's gonna watch it anyway. That's the default setting. I don't. If there's something that I said that implied I was a sellout, please elaborate. But I don't. I just don't know what people are upset about. Oh, that's right. All right, they're quoting they're quoting Lego Motel 43 where Batman calls everyone a sell. Okay, that makes so much more sense now. I did see that, yes, actually, and that okay. You see, that's what I hate about internet communication. There's some things that are just lost. All right, you're probably right. Um, all right, yeah, that makes a lot more sense now. Little Penguin Productions, not smooth, man. And now I want to talk about, I want to talk about briefly what's been going on with the Randomness Show, which for those of you who, and it's by far the least viewed thing on this channel. So in case you're unaware, it's sort of this series of live action skits, I guess. And I had one particular user who's watching the stream right now, actually. He was asking about what's been going on with that, and how did I put this? It has been canceled, but I also okay. So I sort of I worded this really poorly in how I commented on it before, but basically I feel like I love making people laugh, but I feel like the comedy in those videos is a bit just a little bit below our what we can do. We can do better. I know that's a good way of putting it. I feel like I can make better stuff. It's a bit beneath us. It's sort of outdated at this point, obsolete to what our current standards for quality are. So we're ending it gracefully while we still can. And I want to work on more live action projects soon, but I want to branch out and try some new things instead of being constrained to that format. That said, I do intend to get the guys back together to do one farewell episode, and that'll hopefully be in the spring once this play is over, and then we can do that. So it is ending, but hopefully we'll have some kind of goodbye. So that's basically it. I'll open it up to. I mean, there's lots of questions which I'll skim through. It looks like a lot of people fighting over the whole sellout thing, which. But yeah, if there's anything else you would like me to address, I will do that now. I'll look through comments. We got so many before. Um, Thank you to everybody who left from who left the lots of lovely comments on this. By the way, for those of you who are apologizing now for the sellout thing, I find it absolutely hilarious now that I understand it. I was really scared because like the last thing I want to have happen to me is me get called out for something live, and I don't even know what it was, so like I didn't know how to respond. But yeah, now that I see what's going on, it was a good joke. So thank you. But yeah, so does not seem to be all right. So I think that pretty much wraps it up, unless something comes in the. I was kind of looking at the chat to see if there's something worth addressing. But bottom line is, for people who missed the beginning, progress is being made on the things that I've mentioned, and it'll be slow, but I promise things will get out, and especially in the summer. Once I should have probably clarified this earlier. Once Return to Kashyyyk is done, I don't think I'll jump right into Justice League 5. There's a few experimental little animated shorts that I want to try. Like I said, I want to broaden my horizons a little bit. It's kind of a work in progress, and then they probably will just stand on their own well enough, won't be connected to anything. And they might not even get made at all, but I feel like I'll take a break from the sort of big, large-scale things and just try a few weird little experimental kind of shorts. John asks what play. I'm either the play I was referring to earlier. It's Fiddler on the Roof, which is I play Motel Camzoil. Which is exciting. Will Condiment King be in Justice League 5? Probably not, simply because I don't have the character, but expect from how I have it written now, there will be a few surprise appearances from some obscure characters. So I think I have Killer Moth listed as someone who pops in for like a second at one point. So yeah, I'll just keep it going for one more minute if there's any further questions. Brandon David Productions says hi. He said it a couple times, and I just haven't been able to address it. But hi. All right. Well, this has been nice. Thank you for tuning in. Exciting new things coming in the future, and it's been real. Thank you.